What's up, dudes? I'm the Dominicator, also known as Master Dominic, and in this video I'm going to hypnotize you to hail my return to YouTube and to posting these videos. As in all of my videos, it will be asked to leave it a comment at the end while hypnotized, so I'll go ahead and log into an account that you can use for that. Mute any distractions, and continue when you are ready to get hypnotized. So to begin, I just want you to look at the spiral in front of you, and as you look at that spiral, as you listen to the sound of my voice, the more that you do, the more that you can feel the sound of my voice take on a wonderful, warm quality, has a nice heaviness about it, as each and every word that I say drips and drops down on top of you and on the surface of your mind. Just gives you such a wonderful, heavy and pleasant feeling, nice and mind-melting. It's as if each and every word just melts so warmly over the surface of your mind, trickles and drops and drips down into you. And there's something that just feels so good about it. A wonderful, warm and masculine, dominant tone and texture and the sound of my voice. Has such a forceful and magnetic effect on you, but at the same time has such a feathery touch about it. It just feels so good, so wonderful, nice and restful to listen to. And the more that you do, the more that you can feel yourself just drifting down, dropping down, and sinking down into an even deeper and even more relaxed and passive state. There's something that just feels so good. And you feel that wonderful warmth, that masculine dominant tone and texture just wrap around you and around your mind, coil around your mind even more and even more tightly with each and every passing moment. There's something about it that just feels so good. The more that it happens, the better and better that you feel. The more that you feel yourself just sinking down, floating down, and dropping down into it. It just feels so good, and just floating down, drifting down into that wonderful, warm, masculine, dominant tone and texture and feeling from the sound of my voice. And you can feel the heaviness is coming over your eyes and your eyelids right now, and over all the muscles and muscle fibers of the body. It's just as if that heaviness from the sound of my voice drips and drops down onto each and every single muscle fiber of each and every single muscle in the body. And then with each and every passing second, it just becomes heavier and heavier. Heavier and heavier, so much that there's a heaviness and a tiredness, a sleepiness building up inside of you that just wants to snap down into an even more relaxed and more passive state. And in a moment, then I'm going to snap my fingers and I'll say the word sleep. And when I do, then you will snap down, you will go down, drop down, and sink down into that even deeper, even more relaxed and passive and obedient state. And that will just feel so good. You'll feel the feeling of that heaviness just collapse on top of you as you just snap down into a much more restful posture. Just snapping down into a much more relaxed posture, just like a rag doll. And all of the limbs becoming loose and limp all at the same time as they just plop down into that much more relaxed posture. And you can feel the heaviness and sleepiness building up inside of you even more now, winding up inside of you, and just feel just like a wind-up toy on each and every single spin. And there is that feeling of heaviness building up so much inside of you, and all the mind wants to do is just to shut down. All the eyes want to do is just to close. But until I snap my fingers, then you'll feel that heaviness building up, attention rising inside of you, building up so much now that in a moment, in a little while, when I do snap my fingers, it will just become completely and totally irresistible to go down, drop down, and snap down into that wonderful, wonderful state of sleep. And you can try to resist, but the more that you try to resist, the more that you will just go down, drop down, sink down, and snap down instead. And yet, when you do, then it will just feel so good, as you know that you will be snapping down, going down, dropping down, drifting down for your master, that wonderful, warm, and masculine, dominant authority figure. And it just feels so good to submit to. And feel the feeling of that winding up, that building up of all the stress and tension, energy inside of you, as you feel the heaviness about to collapse from on top of you, taking you down, snapping you down into that wonderful, deeply, totally relaxed, passive, and obedient state now, and sleep. And as you just drift down, plop down, float down, just snap down into that even deeper, even more relaxed, and even more passive state, it just feels so good. It just feels so good to feel as all the stress and tension from the muscles and muscle fibers of your body just melts away. As it melts away, it just feels so good, just dropping down even more and further. And just feeling wonderful and mind-melting, feeling in effect when the sound of my voice just melt away all the thoughts, cares, worries, and stresses and tensions inside of your mind. And that just feels so good. And that just feels so good. And you feel that wonderful warmth, masculinity, and dominance just pressing on all sides of your mind, just coiling all around you. And then it just wraps around you just like a blanket. It just feels so good as you just begin to drift off into a wonderful and sleep-like and dream-like state. As you drift off into that wonderful sleep-like and dream-like state, just feeling so good. And with each and every single passing moment, you can feel the squeeze, the tension, the force, the pressure, and magnetism, a feeling pressing all sides of your mind, a feeling of domination from your master and from the sound of my voice. It's something that just feels so good about having such a strong and powerful and dominant master to follow, to obey, to serve, and to worship. It's something that just feels so good about that. It just makes you want to, and it just makes you need to do exactly that. And there's something about the sound of my voice, and even now it's dripping down and dropping down, a kind of feeling effect inside of you. It's trickling down and dripping down deep inside of you. It's a desire to want to continue to follow, to obey, and to serve, and to worship your master. There's something about that. And about that calling just feels so good to answer. And you feel the magnetism, the kind of force, a draw, a pull towards the obedience of my commands and towards servitude of your master and towards the worship of your master. And there is something, even now, just about dropping down, drifting down, floating down even more with each and every passing moment that just feels so good. It feels so good just to submit to the domination of the control of your master. Just to go down, to drop down, to be controlled by your master so much. And you feel such a profound feeling of submission even now as you just drop down for me, as you just snap down into that even deeper state of sleep with each and every time I snap my fingers when I say that word sleep. And that just feels so good. Just snapping down, going down, dropping down, just submitting to the will of your master. That just feels so good. And even now, you feel such a happy feeling, just permeating throughout you, just coursing throughout you and surging throughout you. Just the feeling of being surrounded and encapsulated by your master, and that just feels so good. It feels so good to be completely and totally surrounded by the presence of your master, just dropping down, floating down, dripping down even more. And each and every single passing moment, and each and every single step that you take even deeper into that state of passive obedience, and the more that in fact that you obey your master, the more that you serve your master, the more that you worship your master, as each and every single inch that you drift down, that you float down, and that you drop down, that you surrender your mind and your will to your master, the more that in fact you obey, that you serve, and that you worship me. And it just feels so good. And that just feels so good. It just makes you want to fall down, to float down, to drop down, to drift down even more. And it makes you feel so good. Just having your master return to you, return to dominate you even more. And there is something about that just feels so good, so exciting, and so exhilarating. It makes you want to hail the return of your master. And that's exactly what it is that you'll do. That is exactly what it is that you'll do. And in fact, after I bring you back up in a little while, on the count of 1 to 3, then you will write a comment. You'll leave a comment at the end of this video that says, "All hail Master Dominic." Leave a comment at the end that says, "All hail Master Dominic." And when you do, you feel a wonderful and tickly and tingly feeling, a sensation of being a good servant and a good worshiper, a good and obedient slave for your master. And that will just feel so good. It will feel so good, just coursing and surging all throughout you. And you feel the feeling just as though you were praised directly by your master himself. And that will just feel so good. Gives you a nice and wonderful, mind-melting pleasantness that will just course and surge throughout all of your body and your mind. And you'll feel a genuine delight and an exhilarating feeling, an excitement for all of the things that I'll release, all of the videos that I'll put out for each and every time that I'll hypnotize and dominate you and master you even more. There's such a feeling of excitement and anticipation about that, and you can feel it building up inside of you, a nice, wonderful, spine-tingling feeling. You can't wait to hail the return of your master, and you cannot wait to obey, to serve, and to worship your master even more. There's something about it that just feels so good, about being such a good servant, a good slave, and a good worshiper for me. It becomes exactly what it is that you want to do. And now in a moment then, I'm going to count you up from 1 to 3, and as I do, count up from 1 to 3, and you'll feel a lifting, rising, floating feeling that will take you back up into the waking world. And when you come back up, then you will hail the return of your master by writing that comment that says, "All hail, Master Dominic." And when you do, it's just going to feel so good. You feel that wonderful wave of pleasantness just coursing and surging all throughout your body and your mind. So it will feel so good just to serve and to worship your master. And now I'm beginning with 1, and as you feel that lifting, rising, floating feeling beginning to stir inside of you. 2, coming up even more and further and faster. 3, eyes open and awake, my dude. Now, like, subscribe, and check out Dominicator.com to schedule an appointment with me to get hypnotized or to commission a video. Check you later, dudes.